Hey, good evening. It's Jason here, one of the pro traders over at TrueTrader.net. Hope everybody's having a great week and a good start to the month. Listen, I've been around the business since the early to mid 90s, 93, 94. I was a market maker in the past. I have a lot of different perspectives to put into things as I'm putting these ideas together. So hopefully you guys are liking what I'm putting out. If you do like it, guys, just all I ask is that you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button so you can see when we're putting out content. Ricky does an amazing job. He's been putting out a Sunday prep, and it's been unbelievable. So hopefully you guys have been watching that and keeping on top of that as well. There's other things that we're working on that we're going to be putting out for YouTube. So please, guys, make sure you get that so you get the alerts coming, and we could keep at it. So with that being said, I'm going to try to keep these videos to about 10, 12 minutes. Today I got quite a few names. There were some nice earnings after the close today, so I'm going to cover some of those. But let me, before I do, jump into the disclaimer here. So TrueTrader nor its representatives or myself are registered as a securities broker dealer or investment advisor with the SEC or any state regulatory authorities. We're not here to provide investment advice to you guys, not licensed to do so. This is 100% for entertainment purposes only. Please, folks, do not follow me, do not copy me. This is for entertainment or educational purposes, and let's leave it at that. So that's it for the disclaimer. Let me jump into the charts here and start off with the markets. But before I do, I just want to comment. There's been a few people that have asked, that I comment about being a market maker and, what does that bring in? And come on, give us some market making thoughts and so forth. So I just want to address that before I get going. First of all, market making, if any of you guys know about it, had a ton to do with order flow, had a lot to do with order flow. Also had an edge with having a level 3, which is actually making a market in stocks and actually seeing the orders coming in through the market. It was a totally different ball game. And I do my scans exactly the same way that you guys do them. Being a market maker, yes, it helps me with looking at a level 2, maybe times in sales, seeing prints. But other than that, looking at a scan and looking at a daily chart, there's nothing that I was, as far as a market maker, that putting scans together, that I could give you some sort of secret sauce that's going to make you guys understand something better. If I had it or I think of it, I'll provide it for you guys. I'm an open book. I'm happy to share. But I've gotten a couple comments of, you keep saying market maker. Well, I do that just so you guys know my background. I've been around in the business a while. It's good to know a little bit about the background, maybe a different perspective that I have. So that's why that comment comes in there. So with that being said, let me jump into the markets. Again, pretty flat day today. The only thing on the markets, I actually have the Qs up right now, is this is the one that's getting a little bit more extended than the SPY. You can see that if you were to follow this light blue line here, which is the 20-day, you could kind of see this that it's getting a little bit more extended than when you look at a SPY chart. But other than that, they're just both trending right now. Do I think that we're going to get a couple days where it pulls back into the 20? Yeah, I just don't. I'm not going to play the guessing game. I've talked to you guys about that already. But you can see the SPY is actually even more subtle, just straight movement up. You get these little pullbacks every 2 to 3 weeks. You can see it. It's pretty amazing, actually, these little pullbacks to the 50-day that you get. They've been pretty nice, but there's nothing to really show you on the market stuff except for just we're trending. We're just moving up. We're trending. Earnings are coming out. They're looking good numbers. Not sure, if markets were coming, if the numbers were coming in terrible on all these companies, then I could say, uh-oh, we're in a little bit of trouble. But I just don't see it. So, I think all these pullbacks, whether it's to a 20 or to a 50-day, to me are opportunity. So let's stay with that. So the first one I'm going to cover, I'm going to start off with some of my Market Smith names that I had, is going to be XPEV. That's XPEV. And what I wrote down on this is I wrote down $40.30. And I also wrote down that's off the 200-day, the 20-day, and 2 prior days lows. So let me blow this up a little bit for you guys so you can kind of see what's going on here. But you can see that this is the previous low from these last 2 days. The reason I have this one on there is the stock actually has decent range. The ATR is 2.25 on this. So I kind of like this when I hit my Market Smith. It's above the 200-day. It's right at the 2 previous day lows, a 20-day. I know it's a pretty tight trade because it's closed at 40.78. So it's right there where it closed. It's a pretty tight risk there, but it could be a really good reward for a tight risk. So I like the risk reward on XPEV a lot. So that's XPEV. Let me go to the next name here, which is going to be AMAT. This has hit my scan, a few times. Not sure if I put it on the Wednesday scan or not, but that's AMAT. So let's take a look at AMAT here. So what I wrote down on AMAT was 130.05, okay, which is what I want to show you on AMAT. That's all the way down here, and you could say, well, what's at 130.05? two things. First of all, if you could look where the stock came from, which is 125, and go all the way up to 135, which it went up to, that's about a 50% retrace back to that 130 number. Plus, it's the whole number. It's been weak the last couple days. I'm thinking maybe it breaks these two lows and does a nice quick wash down to it. And you also look at the ATR 381. If you look at where it closed, that's right about 130 as well. So a nice wash down, maybe one more day, closed on lows. I'm hoping we have continuation. Gives us an opportunity off 130, and I'll take it. I'll take the shot off that 130.05 area. So that's it. That's it on AMAT. Next symbol is DFS. DFS. So I looked at Capital One, or is it, I'm looking at these some of the financial names. I know Ricky did a big thing on the financial sector and what he's been talking about in his sector analysis. But what I wrote down on this is 120.35. There's another one. It's kind of closing on lows, but this is what I have it off this. Just so you know, these little tiny dots right here that you're seeing, that's a new month just started. So this is the monthly pivot on that little dot that you see down here. This is the prior month. I still refer to the other month as well, just so you know on those pivots, just because it's so soon, so recent. You'll hear me refer to last quarterly or the last monthly a lot. So going back to DFS, I wrote 120.35. It's right at this new monthly pivot. It might end up holding this 121.70 area, which you could see is the support area from right here. But I'm going to play it a little bit more safe because the stock did close on lows. Don't think it can't get there. It's got almost 4 ATR, closed at 124.77. So you never know. If you get a down day in the market, I want to be prepared. This is all about being prepared in this. You got a monthly pivot. You got support in the ATR there. The support area off this 120. You got this area is off the 120 area. This is off this other prior one, which is about 121.70. So it's definitely going to come into a very interesting level. Here's one for you. A little bit more interesting name. General Electric, GE. When do you see these on scan? 101.30. So I put this one down here, 101.30. This is right off this quarterly pivot. I know if it's breaking the 50-day if it gets down there, but I still like it. The quarterly pivot, that prior support off this level too as well. You get the support right here. As you can see, it's kind of held on this quarterly pivot. I have it blown up right now. Let me drag it a little bit this way so you can kind of see what it looks like, big picture here. All right. So that's GE off 101.30, right off this level here. Let's see if it gets some weakness. You'll notice I'm always, pretty far down there because I'm looking for, if I give you 10 names, I want one or two of them to hit and have that big wash to give me that opportunity. When you have those big flushes or those imbalances, that's what provides those opportunities, folks. So I want to be prepared. I want to have this here. I want to have my alerts set. So when the alert goes off at 101.30, I'm already knowing, okay, I already did my homework on this. I know it's a good ATR. I know it's, everything, all the checks and balances already done. Now moving on to a couple earnings plays. FIVE. I wrote down on, this is the tricky one, right? When you punch in FIVE, you got to click here. Not $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever it says. I wrote 191. So post-market, it's trading at 196.10. I wrote 191. You have a quarterly pivot, a monthly pivot, and you have the 200-day just below that. I'm not sure it's going to get down that far. This is one that I probably will end up joining. But the notes that I wrote down on there was, fiscal year, they're not giving any fiscal year 21 guidance. Q3 looked okay. Small miss on the revenue, but I like this opportunity down here if it does get to 191. I think in the, and that 191's right in here. I think in the post-market, let me just look. I think it held the 193 area. Let me just take a quick peek. Yeah, that was at 192, 193 area. So that'll be an area. A lot of times what I'll look for is, that's where kind of buyers came in after the earnings came out today. So what I'll do on that, and by the way, what I'm looking at is right here. Let me try to blow it up a little bit more for you. This is just that post-market after the earnings came out. This is actually a 5-minute candle. But you can see it kind of got bought up in this 192, 193 area. So I'll refer back to that. So even though I have it, my alert will be set at 191, I'll pull up 5 and I'll look at it and see if it wants to hold that area, at that 192, 193 area. And that might be a starter position with an add off 191. We'll have to see how it plays out in the morning and see if it gives a nice flush. All right, so that's next one is going to be SWBI. Here's another one. I have a couple notes down. I wrote down for price, first of all, SWBI. The notes I have at 2030 is a spot on this. Post-market, it's trading at 23.79 right now. 2030, you could see, is a 200-day. It's also the whole number there. That's why I like it, 200-day and a whole number. They had a small miss in revenue, but the numbers looked okay to me. So I think I actually would not be surprised, and I'm going to go on a limb here. This might be one that I actually joined where it held post-market. Again, going back to that post-market conversation, it held 23. Let's see if it holds that same 23. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a name like this go red to green. We'll have to see how it plays out. It's had really, really good support. It's had strong support in this area. I think this 2270 area, which is right below it, might be a little bit too close. So that's why I put the 2030, but it might just hold this 2223 area. And then I think there's a shot that it tests red to green. So we'll have to see SWBI, but I really do like this one. Next one is going to be CHWY, CHWY. So I wrote down a couple numbers on this one. I wrote down 7720, which is a little bit closer. Okay, so it's right now trading at 7910, and 7720, I couldn't ignore it. There's a quarterly pivot there, but you also, if you blow it up, you can see that it had the support areas as well. So I didn't want to ignore that, even though it's pretty close. And this is a stock that, you know, has range, and on earnings days, it has really nice range as well. You could see it's had some big candles in here. Obviously, this is an extreme candle, $7 or $8 or whatever it is. But this is a name that has pretty decent range. So going back to CHWY and my idea on this is 7720. The other area that I wrote down is right off this annual, which is 7350 I wrote down, which is just above it. And you could see the support here that it held, 7350, 7350 as well. So we'll see how heavy it is. I know that's really far down, but again, you never know. It might give a nice flush. Gives me a couple numbers to work with there on it. Overall, though, you know, I think CHWY is... I think it's going to have a pretty big bounce tomorrow. I just, again, going on a limb a little bit, I think CHWY is going to be one of my top watches for a bounce play, along with a couple of these other earnings. Let's go into AI. AI, I wrote down 4640 and 4750. So 4750 is this quarterly pivot right here, and 4640 is this new monthly. Right now it's trading at 4873. My notes that I wrote down in AI was... that it looks like it held 42. Well, hang on a sec. It held 4750. Must have been the post market I was talking about here. That's quarterly right here. So you see that? So that's why I want to watch that 4750 in the post market. Again, that same conversation I had earlier. I always will refer to it. Doesn't mean that it can't crack it. That's why I'm prepared with the other number down there on AI at 4640. But I thought the guidance was okay on this, by the way, regarding the earnings. So we'll have to see on AI and see what it does. But those are the levels on AI that I'm looking at. Let me make sure I didn't do the 5 minute there. Nope. So that's 4750 and 4640 on AI. Next one, NTNX. Only a couple more, and bear with me, guys. I'm almost done. So let's go to NTNX for a second. NTNX, I wrote down 3710. So this is one that I'm looking for, just a G2C type play. So this is earnings. Good numbers, everything looked good to me on the top that I could see, and all I'm playing is a G2C is a gap to close type play, which means I want to see a gap. It's gapping up 39. I want to see a quick drop into this 37 area and bounce it for 30 to 50%. I'll go over that one more time for you. So I want to see a gap. Let's say it opens up at 39 tomorrow. See a quick flush, just sellers come in, profit taking, whatever. It happens all the time. You see it go test this prior resistance area. Pulls right into this prior close, which is where I'm going to bounce it from, and then I'll look for a 30 to 40% bounce or a 30 to 50% bounce of where it came from. So if it comes down $2, I'm looking for $1 out of the trade or something of that nature, maybe a little less, 80 to $1, and we'll see what happens. But keep your eye on NTNX for a gap to close type play. That's 3710. Last one to make the ticker, OKTA. So OKTA is another one is trading up. My notes on this one, I wrote down 252.50. Is that right? 252.50, right off this monthly pivot. And this is another one, by the way, what I wrote down. And I wrote down 250. So I have two numbers here, 250, okay, which is right here. That's the bottom part of that gap here, okay. When I wrote down 250, which is a big number. I always tell you 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. Those are all big numbers, psychological numbers. So and they do make a difference. I like the numbers. They look good in my opinion. So we'll have to see what it does. The other thing about this is if you actually do the math from 230 all the way up to 265, that's what, $35, $17 from 266 or whatever, 265 brings you right into that 250 area. That's about a 50% retrace as well. Okay, I'll do that math for you real quick again. If you take it down from here, 231 to 265, call it. What's that? $35 or right? 35 bucks, half of 35 is 17 bucks. From there, it brings you right back into that $250 level from a 40 to 50% retrace. Okay, so it's pretty decent there as well. Other than that, I think that's it for me. OKTA I covered 250, 252 and a half. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Do me a favor. Ricky said this the other day. If you guys, if you guys want to hear more stuff, or if there's something that you want or something you don't like, leave it in the comment section. I'll address it. I have no problems. Your comments help, your likes help, your subscriptions help. So subscribe, please. And please come check us out over at CHWTrader.net. I think you'll be real happy with what you see over there. So look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. I wish you all a great night, and thank you very much. Have a good night, guys.